Yeah, so I don't know for you regulars out there, but for you non-regulars, maybe you're checking us out for the first time. Several months back, I went to a charity event for the White Sox called Beyond the Diamond, and at said event, I met Len Kasper. He just kind of walked up next to me and was sort of looking around, and I'm like, "Hey, Len Kasper." He's like, "Hello." And what I thought would be like a casual shake of the hand, like what you do, turned into like, a 10-minute conversation.
That's awesome.
And at the end of it, he said, "Hey, if you're ever at the ball game, give me a text. He puts his number into my phone, and I'm like, what the frick is going on here?" And he said,
very forward of him.
"Yes, I know. Let me know. Like, hey, I'll you and Robin come up to the booth. Blah blah blah." So okay, well,
he's well renowned as like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
So I mean that seems like a nice gesture, but we were, I don't know if you were dubious, but you could see how that would just be something to say, and maybe it would not happen.
Yeah, and it didn't happen because the next game I went to, I texted him, and he was actually out ill. He had lost his voice.
Likely story.
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, okay," and I was like, "Okay, maybe this isn't going to happen." So we had a redo during the Giants series. A little, what's that? About 10 days ago now.
Yeah, I think so.
And it was a Saturday afternoon, 3:10 start. Beautiful day for baseball. Because the Sox are, so good. We were able to get some nice club seats at a minimum, which lent itself well because I did text Len Kasper and he said, "Yeah, come on by between 2:30 and 3." And he gave me some info, which I'm not going to share on the air because
it's just a half hour before game time.
Yeah, wow, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. It must be because they're done with all their pre-game setup stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Boy.
But he's like, it's on the club level.
So he gave you directions that you cannot share?
I am not going to share the directions.
Did he tell you that you could not share this?
He did not tell me I could not share this information, but I'm smart enough not to share this information.
Okay, you can tell me offline.
So...
and then I'll post it up.
I will tell you nothing, and you'll like it. So
he gave you the secret code.
Yeah, he gives me the code, and he's like, "It's on the club level." So I didn't.
Damn.
I guess I never realized like you could all the press boxes. It makes sense though. Enter through the club level.
Yeah,
I thought maybe they had their
secret layer.
Yeah, like a middle level and level 0.5 or something.
Yeah,
2.5. So it worked out nice because we were able just to mosey on down there, and we get escorted in, and it turns out we weren't alone. So there's a couple other people there too. So they must like people they meet or friends or whatever.
Meeting hour or whatever. Meeting half hour.
Right. So what was really cool, and I can't remember his name, and neither can Robin, but the engineer, the sound person, I think his name was John. We end up talking to him at first when we get there because Len's already in a conversation, and so is DJ. And he's like, "Oh, you want to go down and look at the controls and all that?" So we're down there. Turns out this guy is like, when he's not working in the radio booth, he's running. He's toured the world.
Wow.
He works exclusively now with Peter Gabriel's record label Wombat, and like does all of their artists, but he's like toured with Frank Zappa. And
oh my God.
So I'm a music nerd too. So I'm like getting this like weird, like I didn't even expect to have a conversation like this.
How'd you get into that conversation that quickly?
Well, it was like, we were like started talking back and forth, and where'd you grow up? I'm like, "Oh, I grew up on the South Side," and blah, blah, blah. And I know this guy, that guy, blah. And then I said, "Well, what else do you like? Do you work where else do you work besides this is your main job?" He's like, "Well, no, I'm always working." He's like on All-Star break, I'm flying out of the country to work with some of Peter Gabriel's artists at this fest. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And it's just like really super fascinating. So then Len moseys on down, and him and I just start chatting, and he's a very honest dude, like he's like, we were talking about season tickets. We were kind of laughing about the email that went out, which we were gonna, for those of you who didn't get it, there was a
Oh,
secure
to get the
your
26 season tickets?
yeah, your 2026 season tickets to get the best seats available.
Yeah.
And, Len was saying like, no one's really like getting season tickets right now. And he's like, that's on us as an organization. He's like, you have to put a better product on the field and he's like, while there's improvement, there's not enough improvement to, get people to buy season tickets. And
he gets it.
And then he was telling me how he did go over, he mentioned the illness and how like what had happened and like he lost his voice for a couple days.
Yeah.
And
he was indeed out. I remember that happening. And again, I didn't believe your original story, but it corroborates.
But you confirmed it. You had to do your own investigation.
Yep.
You're thinking Len Kasper gave me some random burner number and some guy's just replying as
I wasn't sure if you ever met Len Kasper. It was probably some guy named Ken Lasper.
So then DJ comes down and DJ's like DJ's like the comedy relief. He just starts, he's making jokes and
all his
like,
dad jokes.
Yeah, just jokes. He's like, I'm like, oh my God, it's a pleasure to meet you. He's like, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. And he's like, I've been listening to you forever. And like all the way back when you were on the air with Hawk, which I really wanted to have an opportunity to get a little bit more into that with him because there were so many uncomfortable moments.
Oh my God.
Like to hear his take on it, but
yes,
they're like, then somehow we drifted over to, because I brought that up and I said like you with Ed Farmer, he's like, well, the best relationship in this booth, the greatest stories are Ed Farmer and John Rooney.
Yeah.
Because he said, Len was saying, so Ed knew everybody and always wanted people in the booth. And like I was saying, they had like a couple like bar tables set up like behind the work area for people to stand at or whatever. But he said when Farmer was there with Rooney, they had like bench seating because Ed Farmer liked having the booth filled with people.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, it'd be like 5 minutes before the game and he'd call over to security and be like, hey, some of the guys from the Notre Dame football team are here. Can you go ahead and bring them up? And he's like, Rooney would get so fucking pissed and be like, excuse me, but I'm trying to do a broadcast here.
Is that why he left for St. Louis?
Maybe. It may have been ultimately why he did leave. It was like too much for him.
Fucking Farmer.
But he'd be like, excuse me, I need to get through. I'm trying to prepare for a game we're about to broadcast today. Stuff like that. It was pretty funny to like hear that. But it was a super cool experience. And it's basically wide open. So, perhaps next visit when we make it over to the Sox game, you too will have the opportunity to meet one Len Kasper and Darrin Jackson.
I'll learn the secret code. Will I have to remove my Detroit Tigers cap that I'm wearing and always wear?
I do not know.
That would be like a Seinfeld episode where Elaine had to remove her Baltimore Orioles cap. But
it would be funny if I got to security and saw my good bud over there and he's like, well, he can't come in. I'd be like,
I'll let this riffraff in.
I'll see you in a bit, Smitty. But
I'll have to put that one to the test. That's a great idea. That's awesome. So you didn't ruin the relationship.
I did not. He said, whenever, if you got more friends, we'd love to meet them.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I don't have any, but that's okay. I'll be back myself. No,
did the podcast happen to come up in conversation? This very podcast?
I do slide podcast references in, but he will not bite.
Okay. You were subtle.
I'm subtle. I've done it twice. I did it in both meetings.
You're doing the dance.
I'm doing the dance. I'm trying to get the bite, but the bite has not happened. So fingers crossed, maybe the third time's the charm.
I think you're approaching it correctly because you still have a relationship, an open door.
Yes.
You haven't closed the opportunity on this podcast, but we'll see.
It's maybe cracked. Perhaps it's cracked. Possibly the biggest win of the day was they had a fridge full of water and pop, and they're like, hey, take some waters. It's hot out there today, and save yourself the $20 each.
Nice.
Yeah, so got a couple free waters. That's like a $15 value.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. So no, it was great. Great, but I mean, super nice. I mean, just like DJ too. Is DJ's talking with DJ was very brief, but they're super cool, and I was looking at the time. I'm like, we're gonna go.
Yeah.
You
There's a
guys,
game
there's
happening.
a game happening in like 15 minutes. So,
So the
um,
view looked rather impressive from the radio booth.
the view was super cool. Like it would be, it'd be cool to just sit up there and watch the game.
Oh man. Yeah.
It
Can
it, it,
imagine.
it wasn't terribly far though from that home plate club. It was kind of right by it. So, but I do have to say on the club level, they've added a menu item you can only get up there, a smash burger that both Robin and I agree as far as like food meeting like restaurant type quality, like, and like you'd get at like say an Al Cheval or something like that.
Wow.
Like this smash burger was right there. I was
Nice.
blown away by it. So
I've been on the club level there once for a Tigers Sox game 10, 15 years ago, probably. Now I was impressed. I mean, it's like you've got the indoor concourse basically inside.
Yeah.
And then you get to your seats and you've got wait service and whatever. Do they sell waitresses?
Yeah. I had beers delivered all game long.
That's awesome.
Only time I had to get up was to use the facilities.
Well, and that's the other thing. There's not that many people up there, so you take a piss and there's nobody in line. It's like,
yes,
that's a huge benefit. So, or if you need to get out, it's all air conditioned in there. So if you need to go up underneath to cool off on 100-degree days like we've been having, I highly recommend the club level. That worked out great. You planned that well. Well done.
Well done. An accident.
Word Hole Media.